of ambition is starting.
This meeting is being recorded.
Work for a living right now, or you're looking for a job, or whether you're retired, there's a boost of energy to be more productive. So you're going to find yourself in the flow of busyness.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Let's see here. All right, boys, come on. The our cats have the zoomies today. Hey, calm down, Papa. Jules is currently hopping off the couch, running, bouncing off the walls, turning. He's like losing his mind right now. So that's what's happening here. So if you hear any commotion, I'm not sure why they decided. It usually happens more in the evenings, but they have the zoomies right now. So let's see. Hopefully they don't wreak some havoc. So let's see. Let's get started. My friend bought me these Monstera earrings and I'm absolutely in love with them. So I wanted to show them to you today. So I just opened them up. I think they're so pretty. I love any plant related jewelry is perfect. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen real quick. We have been in preparation mode over here. We're leaving in a few days to Costa Rica, so it's been woof. I have the luggage. I have the two big suitcases done. We have our hand luggage done, and then we have our book bags. So those are the book bags really are the only things that are not currently done, because it's more for stuff like our laptops and stuff that we're going to use every day, at least up until we leave. So, but I needed to at least have that squared away and done so I wouldn't be panicking before our flight. So I told Brian, I was like, we need the suitcases to be ready like at least a week early. I just feel better about that. So we went that route. And I feel so much calmer already just with that. I'm still preparing the house. I'm still preparing the plants and the animals. I'm in the process of writing an updated version to our home manual, so that my sister-in-law, this is the longest we're going to be away. So this is the longest that my sister-in-law has had to watch the plants and the animals. So we're making sure we leave everything good and clear and ready to go. And we're going to go around and tag all the plants that she will definitely need to water while we're away. But thankfully, a lot of the plants, the majority of the plants we do have are succulents, cacti, like euphorbia, ZZs, dracaenas, like the snake plants. The snake plants. So we don't have to worry too much. So a lot of them will be perfectly fine without even being looked at. But there are a handful that will need some love and attention while we're away. So I'm very, very nervous about that, but hopefully, yes, it goes well. So let's see. But welcome everyone. We're kicking off today's Q&A session. This is part of the Urban Garden Learning series, and we usually have classes every week. Now, next week, we will not be having class. We had some logistical changes, and we're actually going to be traveling by bus on Monday. So I'm unfortunately not going to have Wi-Fi during that time. So it's very unfortunate, but I won't be able to hold a session next week. If I'm able to, I'm going to see if maybe I can pre-film something like maybe like a book recommendations, or even try to see if I have an old class that might be of interest. I'll see if I don't have too much of a time crunch. I'll see if I can pre-record something and then send that out. But I was really hoping I wouldn't have to cancel, but it looks like there's just no way around that. So next Monday we will not be having a session. And then I should be fine with the Mondays after that, as far as I know, unless anything changes with our travels. But I will have Wi-Fi when we're at the locations we're staying in Costa Rica, so I should be able to. What I was thinking is if anything, maybe even sending out a notice of like a random Q&A pop-up like on a different time or day or something like that. If anybody's interested, maybe I'll be able to do something like that. Especially if we're in a really nice place, then I can go live and show everyone. So let's see. I'm excited, nervous, and excited. So we'll see how this trip goes. But yes, we usually with our schedule programming, we it's very cyclical. We switch it up, so we'll have classes, Q&As, plant clinics, and open forums. So a little bit of everything here. So today we're having this Q&A. And again, next week, we will not be having a session. I will see if I'm able to send something that might have been already pre-recorded, or that I'm able to pre-record before I leave. So I'm going to try to do that and see so that there's something there. There's something waiting for you for your Monday session. And this class is free. It's not monetized, but I know many of you have asked for my Venmo information. So if you would like to send a tip or anything like that, it's always welcome. Not necessary, but always welcome. And for those that asked about Patreon, the page is live. So, thank you. If you'd like to join my Patreon, again, not necessary, but post it up here as per request. And yes, if you would like to reach out, info@Urban Garden is the best email. If you would prefer Instagram, go ahead. You can find me there as well if you prefer that way of contacting me. And the website is urbangarden.eco. And so it's with the traveling, my updates are behind on the site. So I'm going to try to see if I can get as much done before I leave. So hopefully I have some new downloads, some things like that. I can actually share with you. Let me see. Yeah, I'll send them. I'll send the links because I'm not sure if I can pull them up. But I do have some downloads that are readily available right now. Recommended reading on eco-herbalism, common invasive species in North America. I put that together. I have also a Halloween reading list that's all plant books that have to do with the spiritual and the magical and the mythical. So some fun lists and things like that for you to check out. So yeah, I'll make sure that those are available. If you would prefer that I just email it to you, maybe you're not on our Facebook group, or somehow you're here and you're not on our newsletter or anything like that, you can private message me right here in the chat for the Zoom chat. you can send me your email, and then I'll just send you the downloads. Or if you just prefer, I just send them to you. You can pop your email in there. All right. So let me exit out of the slideshow. Here we go. But yeah, I've been putting together a bunch of downloads, and hopefully I'll have yeah, all the new stuff that I want to have on the website. Yes, yes. So the question is, how is your ecotourism site building going? Is there any link that we should use to be updated? My niece is super interested in volunteer opportunities and loves succulents, and she just recently visited Costa Rica and is in love. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda, for that question. Yes, that's why we're going. Well, one, of course, to spend time with my mom and my family, because my mother's side of the family is from Costa Rica. But it's also, yeah, to work on the land. So we're really excited. We're going with a bunch of documents and everything, because we're going to be putting up the fence and talking to some potential contractors, and yeah, and starting to so excited, and starting to start the process, really. And so I think the first thing is going to be building the main house, and maybe one or two cottages. So I'm thinking that I think would be how I would like to start, so that there is something there. My mother's partner, he is actually an architect, and he's also an incredible gardener. He is specifically, he is an orchid master. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing, his touch with orchids. So he has agreed to come and help manage the grounds. So that's going to be really exciting. And so we're going to start basically doing all the planning and setting everything up, and kind of like setting up like the borders of what's going to be the farm, what's going to be. So I'm super excited. So that's why we're going to be there for basically a month. So that's a big part of it, is for all that strategic planning and coordination, all those logistics. So I'm really excited. And yeah, and then I'm excited to be able to send everyone updates and have folks come out to Costa Rica and be with us. And so the plan is, once we finish building, yeah, to start doing about 3 months a year, maybe like do the first year like for 3 months, us being in Costa Rica, and then seeing how it goes, and then slowly increasing that amount of time every year. And yeah, so we'll see, but that's where we're at right now. Wanting to put up the fence, and yeah, and start planning everything out, so that we can start setting it up. I'm super excited, and I am gonna try to shoot video, take pictures and everything to kind of show you, because the land that we purchased, it's on top of this hill, but it's like flattened at the top, and there's only one entrance and one exit, and it's just 360 views. I mean, it's absolutely just amazing. And so, yeah, so we're thinking of making like the house at least 2 stories, to really make the most of those views. So yeah. That's the current update. I'm hoping. So Paulette's asking, is it a long flight? So I think it's 5 hours. So yeah. So I think yeah. I think it's like a little over 5 hours, and so we're getting there late on Saturday. So Yeah. And my mom, we were just having a conversation. My mom was like, I'm going to meet you at the airport. We were like, oh, it's going to be so uncomfortable for you to travel all the way there. And she's like, no, 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 I'm meeting you at the airport. So, so we're super excited. I have not been able to see my mom since before COVID. So yeah, and because we were supposed to go see her and then COVID happened. So it's been a while. It's been a while. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. And we already packed up gifts, everything. So it's gonna be a lovely trip. I'm very much looking forward to this. All right. But yeah, but let me know if you have any questions. It's just open to everyone. In the meantime, I can show you a couple things that I picked up over the weekend. So Brian was like, let's not pick up anything, we're about to leave. And I was like, yeah, but they had a 50% off sale at one of our favorite plant shops called Planted by Christy. And I really, 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 really wanted another Peperomia incana. So this is a Peperomia incana. It's a lovely little compact plant. It's very fuzzy. It's hard to see, but this is covered in a fuzz. Very similar to kind of like the jade, has like the very succulent leaves, but it's so soft, so soft. And I love these. I love fuzzy leaves. And I know you're not supposed to touch your leaves so much, but it's hard not to with these. And I really love them. I love the shape. And they're a lot hardier than some other peperomias I've had. I've had two polybatras before, which are the raindrop peperomia. Both of them, I think the first one I lost to root rot, and the second one, I think it was like a similar situation. It was not happy. But incanas do very well in my home. So I will eventually try the raindrop peperomia again, but this has that similar kind of look, but it's much hardier. They put up with more drought, so they don't mind being dry for longer periods of time. So I'm not worried when we go away. It'll be fine. I'll just water it before we leave, and it'll be fine. At most, maybe she can give it a quick bottom water 2 weeks later, but for the most part, it's going to be perfectly fine. So I did grab that. And then they had, because of that sale, they had frizzle sizzles. So if you could see these frizzle sizzles. And this guy, it's a bulbous plant here. For some reason there was a like a jade leaf or crassula leaf in here, but it's not gonna survive. But it was in here. But it's a bulb here. These can also deal with longer periods of not being watered, but they do like a lot of bright sun. They like a well-draining mix, hence this very rocky, very perlite rich mix. And so these are great, and the more sunlight they get, the happier they are. They start to get these little curly cues at the end. And so it was the best of the ones that they had there. There are some dead leaves here, but I'll give it a nice cleanup. And yeah, I'm gonna put it in my southeast window, and it should be fine while we're gone. Again, it's very dry, so I'm gonna hold off on watering until basically right before we leave, and then it'll be perfectly fine until we come back. So yeah, I'm going to, I love these guys. I had one, gosh, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was some type of pest. maybe mealies or something that made me lose them. And when I saw that they had it in stock, I said, okay, I can't not grab one right now. And then a Goldie Eye. So we have Goldie Eyes, but every time I see one, they're just beautiful. So I'm gonna add this one to our bedroom because the one we have currently is in the kitchen. But look at these leaves. This is a philodendron. And but see the way that the leaves are. So they go completely around. It's a very interesting leaf. These are the younger leaves. They kind of look like bunnies. And as the plant matures, it starts to develop extra ears. And as you can see, more ears until it goes completely around. This is what it looks like here from the back. So you can see the attachments. Super cool. So these are all leaflets. Quick botany lesson. So this whole thing is one leaf, right? So this entire thing is one leaf, and each of these are leaflets. So this is an example of a compound leaf. So many little leaflets that come together to form one leaf. So this all is technically one leaf. Absolutely beautiful, really odd. And every time I see these, and so these are a philodendron Goldie Eye, but they were reclassified to Thaumatophyllum sprucianum. So, but they're still sold. Like this one is literally is marked philodendron Goldie Eye, but it's no longer technically a philodendron. But it's still in the same family, the aroid family. So really cool, just showing you this. And they have become so cheap. Like even right now, this one was $20.
$20.
I'm echoing. Hold on one second. There we go. There we go. So yeah, these were 25, but then they were marked down 50%. So hence why I needed to grab it. It's just so cool. I highly recommend Goldie Eyes. Now they do get really large. So if you're looking to get some type of aroid, if let's say you really like monsteras and things like that, that you don't mind having a plant that's going to kind of like a monstera spread out and get rather large. These get so big. They become very tree-like, and they get huge. If any of you might have Thaumatophyllum bipenifoliums, is it I think it's bipenifoliums. That it used to be, what was it? They used to call it the split leaf philodendron, something like that. It was the philodendron Salome, I think was the old name before it got reclassified to Thaumatophyllum. And those get huge. Those get huge. So yeah, I can actually quickly show you here. Tomato. Here we go. Just so you can see how large these plants can get. So as you see, they're small, they're totally cool. But then they can they get very wide. They can get very, very large. Let me see here. Here we go. You could just see the leaves. Absolutely gorgeous. Here, look at that. That leaf. Look at that leaf. That is such a gorgeous leaf. Absolutely beautiful when they get large. I'm trying to see if anybody here at there's a couple of trying to remember if it was ill exotics. There are a couple places that have them large, like some stores, but I can't remember the exact store. But this is the bipinophytum. There you go. This is the other one that is very common that used to be classified as Philodendron Salome. These also get very, very large. It's just they have this habit of just spreading out and then upward. Huge. These were also called tree philodendrons, so they get very, very large. And the same with the Sprucianum, with the goldie eye here. The only difference, I mean, is that it's a lot of stem with the goldie eyes. It's a lot of stem and then kind of big leaves. With these, they're much bushier, so it's a little bit more difficult. But if you would kind of like a tree type of aroid in your home, this guy, this goldie eye, or Thamatophyllum sprucianum is a great fit if you kind of like that. If you like the money tree kind of look, if you have like umbrella trees, Scheffleras, and you really kind of look that really like that long stem kind of leafy look, this might be the plant for you. All right, let's see. Linda, yes. It is in the central area. It is in an area called San Rafael, I believe. And so, yeah, I've only been physically to the land twice. And now it's been several years. So my mom has been the one who's been going and checking and making sure that everything is okay. And that it's still there and nothing's wrong. The only thing that that she alerted us to, though, over the summer was because the land currently has no fencing. The neighbors were using it as parking lot. So basically, people were having that are kind of like lower, because there's only one way in or out. So people that are located slightly low, because we're right on top. So people that were located slightly lower were having friends and family park on our land, because right now it's like a big lawn. And so yeah, so that's why we're like, okay, we really need to put the fence up, because I don't want it getting damaged. Also, we want to start, having the work done and things like that. So we definitely need to have a fence and all that kind of security and everything set up. So yeah. But yes, please ask any questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. Feel free to drop them in the chat. Oh yes, Holly. Hello.
Hello, I have some plants.
Hello.
I want to show you some plants I got after you went to your first trip. I bought some plants that you were talking about. This one you told me about before, and I think I'm supposed to water it once a week. But one of the new leaves that came in the top is white instead of green. So I don't know what happened with that. This is
it's a Dracaena.
One you showed us, the donkey.
Dracaena.
Yeah, it has little sparkles on it, but is it Dracaena? I need to label stuff because I don't know. Let me try to figure out how to put it on the.
Yeah, that white leaf. That white leaf, a sport. So basically, it's a mutation. So it give you a white mutation. So I'm getting some
You avoid
feedback.
any-
I'm not sure what.
Okay, yeah.
Getting some feedback. I'm not sure what.
But
I
it
don't
should be
know either.
perfectly fine. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Perfectly fine, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
And you water it once a week.
I would say
Okay.
yes. They're very
This
thirsty,
is
Justina.
the-
So
I would say
about
very
once a week
thirsty,
tends to be
so
the happy
about once
the
a
happy
week,
timing.
tends to be the happy timing.
This is a donkey ear.
Oh, okay. Oh, and it has the spots.
Oh, okay. Oh, and it has spots.
I put some, I dusted it with diatomaceous earth when it first came to make sure no bugs were on it, you know, so it still has that. That's what it's just got the little brown dots like it was, you know, like they come anyway. That's not, that white stuff is the diatomaceous earth. That
Yeah, the
you together
diatomaceous earth. Yes.
kill everything.
Yes.
So I order that once a week too, but I don't put a lot of water on it. And this is something, I think it's supposed to be a philodendron.
It kind of looks like an alocasia tiny
Kind of
dancer,
looks
but
like
I'm not sure.
an alocasia tiny dance.
Yeah, trying to answer exactly. So yeah, it came in with a bunch of spots on it and stuff, and I had to isolate it, like you said, and put some alcohol on it. And I don't know if this is the right color that it's supposed to be. It's really late. And down here at the bottom, see that browning? I think one of those layers might come off.
So is that like
So is that
caterpillar that you're able to
like,
take out, or is that on the stem itself?
caterpillar that you're able to take out, or is that on the stem itself?
It's on the plant.
Hmm.
Browning and a little area. So a whole layer came off. It had a lot of little black spots on it. And I put the alcohol on it. And then this whole layer came off. So it looks like another layer might be coming off.
Okay.
Excuse me. And I guess I'm supposed to water this once a week. I didn't have any instructions, so.
Yeah, with the tiny dancers,
Yeah.
yeah, about like a week
the tiny
every 10
dancers,
days or so. If
yeah,
you're
about
home,
like a week every 10 days or
it's
so.
very
If you're
warm, then it would be about every week or so.
then it
But
would
yeah,
be
just keep an eye on that because
every week or so. Yeah, just keep an eye on that because
I'm just worried it might be like fungal or bacterial rot.
I'm just worried it might be like fungal or bacterial rot.
Oh. Yeah, that's why I wanted to show you that because it had something on it when I got it. This one is doing real good. I don't know what it is. But it had this little thing growing off the side of it, and I thought it was not supposed to be there, and I plucked it off, and then I found out it was a flower that was going to start. And
Yeah, that looks like some type of maybe an orchid cactus.
Yeah, that looks like some type of baby orchid cactus.
okay, it's got this, I think, because I think it doesn't. I've been watering this like you water mother-in-law tongues, you know, like once every month or 3 weeks. So I wouldn't overwater it because but I don't know what it's called. So anyway,
Yeah.
these I got after you went to
Yeah,
where did you go to Costa Rica or something?
Oh, that we went to
This
El
one
Salvador.
is one
Yeah.
of the
oh, we went to El Salvador.
yeah. This is this is supposed to be one of those where the leaves are going to split. It's supposed to be like a in the philodendron family or something.
So maybe like a skeleton key pothos or something like that.
Maybe like a skeleton key pothos or something like
I don't know. It's more. Everybody talks about it on your that comes on there. They have big ones with the big leaves. And it's big, and the leaves are dividing the bigger it gets. But it's not a. It might not be in the philodendron.
Maybe in a medrium.
But it's something like
in a medrium.
that. No, I don't remember that word.
Maybe
Anyway, after you had these on your got them because I saw them on your show. All the ones that I got, you showed me. So I said, I like that plant. Somebody on the show had them in their house. So this is another mother-in-law tongue thing.
Oh, yes.
But it
Yes.
grew. The first time you saw it, first time you saw it was a little bitty plant, and now it's like everywhere. But I don't know if it should be repotted, but yeah, it's got pups and stuff. So
Yeah.
I like it because it really got to be
Yeah.
so big.
Yeah, no,
Those
it
are
doesn't
my
need to
new
be
plants.
repotted. So
Like to
far,
show
it's
you.
so good.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
So far, no, thank you.
Yeah, I had to wait till I got them out of, sitting them apart from the rest of my plants before I put them, show them to you. And I'm hoping the tiny dancer really lasts because I really like that. It's so cute with little leaves, and the leaves were bigger when I first got it. Became looking kind of healthy, but it had all these little black spots on it. So I was worried about that.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Everything looks like it's staying healthy.
They're very cool.
They're staying healthy and growing. I just don't want to overwater them. So the donkey ears is kind of like a cactus too, right? You're not supposed to water it, but every once a month or something.
Well, the donkey ears, they're a succulent. They
The donkey ears
would probably want to get watered about every 2, maybe 3 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. And it's got some little new growth on it. When this pot, see how far down the dirt is? It's half a pot. It's like 1/4 of a pot of dirt. So it's okay to stay in this thing for a long time.
That should be fine. They do like a lot of drainage, so if you want to add a little bit of perlite.
Maybe a lot of drainage, so you want to add a little bit of perlite.
Perlite. Gotta get perlite.
But that's
So put it on the top.
You could, yeah.
Perlite on the top.
That's a good. You could, yeah.
Put the perlite on the top.
You could, yes.
Okay.
You could, yes.
All right. Well, if you have any other suggestions for the tiny dancer or any of the other plants, just let me know.
I will.
The leaves are going to split.
I will.
I'm wondering if that's a
Can't wait till that
monstera.
one gets big.
It was
Important
fun
here,
to
that's
see.
Monstera, I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay. So maybe like a monstera
Yeah,
pinapartata.
it's just, it's got,
Okay, be like a monster.
it's got the little holes. It's got the holes, but they're not splitting yet. It's like a little hole in the leaf, but it's not splitting. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, guys, I was hearing like an echo. I think it's just the connection. Yeah, I was hearing that. Are you hearing it now? Like me, is it my connection? I wasn't sure. But yeah, I was hearing like an echo. Let me see. Oh,
Like
yeah.
an echo.
Your
Let me
connection is
see.
sounding,
Oh,
your connection is, what you call it, when it hesitates,
Oh, lagging.
yeah. Yeah, I had to close.
oh, lagging.
Yeah, I had to close my, leave my thing and come back on because the whole picture just stopped. So I think it's on your side. I'm gonna leave again and see, open up again.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Because guys, I wasn't sure if it was something coming up. Yeah, there you go. I'm picking up on her audio and that was making the echo. Yeah, I think you're spot on, Sue. Let me see. Brenda, I have a dragon tree Dracaena that I would like to cut back to the smallest 8-foot tall stem. I love that that's the smallest. I want to cut it back. I'm sorry, to the tallest. I want to cut it back to the tallest 8-foot stem. So you want to, yeah, cut it back and you have this huge 8-foot stem. The rest of the plant is about only 5 feet. Can I do this at any time of year? Great question. Yes, Dracaena are one of those plants that you can readily propagate via cutting. Dragon trees are amazing. Here, so if anybody has never seen the dragon tree, so yes, if you're keeping your home relatively warm, right? If your home is like in the 70s and it's warm and your plants have no idea that it's fall, they're not it's not cold, so they're not kind of getting into kind of a dormancy period or anything like that. If they feel like it's the growing season, you are totally fine. And you can absolutely do that, no problem. Let me see here. So there's a couple of trees that are called the dragon trees. There's like the marginata, here the Draco as well, where dragon's blood comes from. It's this like blood red sap it's like a resin that's used in like aromatics and things like that. Dracaena is such a cool thing. Plant group here for you to just see what look at this huge Dracaena. Hold on, there's a good shot of one. That was a big one, but then look at that. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? That is absolutely bonkers. How beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But yes, the marginatas are usually the ones that they're known as the dragon trees. And then they can get a really cool kind of look to them. So while they can sometimes kind of grow in this fashion, let me see here. Right, it's just kind of tall, really spiky. Sometimes the leaves will start to kind of bend over. I like when they kind of start doing their the stems kind of start doing their own thing. Sure. Here we go. Oh, come on. Where's the photo it was just showing? Here. Well, here you can see that the stem starts to get kind of a bend to it. And so I've seen some really cool dracaenas where the stems just really bend and it kind of looks like something out of Dr. Seuss. It's really interesting, especially like if you have if you're decorating like children's room, things like that. It's a really cool plant to have. It's very, very cool. I'm trying to see if there's like a cool bendy one, but you can see it braided. I have seen these quite a few times braided, which is similarly done to plants like money trees. Some figs, some types of figs as well are braided. But you can see them like that as well. But then these are all cuttings, right? And so basically they do a cut and they plop it into the soil and they start over again. Now for Brenda, again, if it's the growing season in your home and your plants are none the wiser, you can totally do it at any time that you'd like. Now, if you are in a home where you are feeling, the changes of the weather, if you're experiencing winter right now or would be experiencing winter, there are some plants that will go truly dormant, but tropical plants, they just become less productive. So it's kind of like a pseudo dormancy. It's just they're out of their growing season. So they're kind of, they stop pushing out growth. It's more about conserving energy. They're not going to want as much water. So if your plants are feeling the changes of the season and it's going to be very stressful for them, then do not propagate during that time, because that's going to increase the likelihood that the propagations won't take, that they'll rot. And so you're not going to want to do that. But if your home mimics the parameters, right, of the growing season, so if you have grow lights, you keep a nice constant temperature and humidity, and your plants have no idea what's happening, then yeah, go ahead, chop away. You can chop away, and you can go ahead and take that cutting and put it in the pot in the mother plant. You can go ahead and do that, or you can put it in its own pot, or even start it in water if you wanted to, just not a very deep water, just a little bit. But I would recommend if you're going to put it into water, I do recommend letting the piece callus at least overnight, maybe 2 or 3 days, and then might be better putting it into water after that, because you kind of want it to create a scab before doing so. But yeah, dracaenas are very cool and very easy to propagate. So the fact that you have this huge, you have a tall 8-foot 8-foot stem, yeah, you can go ahead and make those more uniform if that's what you're trying to do, and kind of make it more compact. And yeah, you can just start a piece off again. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. They're such cool plants. Yeah, the stems go really wacky. Yes. So they have that just that tendency to get super weird, and I really, really like those stems though. I kind of some Dieffenbachias do that too, and sometimes it can actually be a result of changing light. So it can be if you're moving the plant around your home, even, that's just enough. So for like a period of time, it's growing in one place, and then you go to move it. And so this changes the direction of the stem, because now it's trying to alter itself to the new lighting situation. And I've seen this even happen when the alterations are not being done in the home, but outside the home. So I had a client that they were doing a lot of construction, and so the light was changing in the actual outside of the building, and this was actually affecting the way that the plant was growing. So yeah, it's super neat. Sue, like hibernation. Yes, very similar. So with some plants, so plants that do live, let's say in our, like in, let's say here, I'm zone 7B, I'm in New York City. So for plants that are native, they go through a true dormancy, the ones that are perennials, right? So there are plants that are annuals, they only live for 1 year. So they basically go from from seedling to end of their life cycle in one take, basically in 1 year. And then the perennials will keep coming back every year. There are also biennials, which take 2 years to complete their life cycle. So they go dormant for 1 winter and then do 1 more life cycle, and then that's it. But with perennials, yes, so they do go dormant. So basically they spend their summer and fall collecting as much sugars, as much energy as they can, and that all goes down into the roots. Some of these plants have rhizomes, which are modified stems that are beneath the soil. Some of these plants have storage organs, sometimes like tubers. So if you think there's like root tubers, there's stem tubers, which are basically just these giant kind of potato looking things. And potatoes are an example of a root tuber. So, and I think, and sweet potatoes are an example of a stem tuber. So it's super neat. But they create, a lot of plants have these kind of storage organs. So it depends on the type of plant where they are storing all this energy. Some of them are indeed just storing them in their roots, in like a tap root. And yeah, and then they'll die back, and then they'll go in the spring, they'll start to push out growth using that energy and kind of starting that cycle all over again. Now, with houseplants, though, a lot of them are tropical species, right? This is completely not their environment. This is not the way that they have basically been built to deal with our type of weather changes and light changes. And so what actually happens is that they go into like a rest period. So basically they just kind of like just stop pushing out growth, basically go into kind of like a survival mode, where they're just taking in light, collecting energy. They stop putting out growth in their roots. So that's why it's not recommended to repot during the winter or propagate during the winter if your plants are in that state, because they're not actively pushing out growth, right? They're in this kind of stillness, waiting for the conditions to be, right, for them to expend this energy, push out growth, because they know they're going to get that return, right? They're going to get the return on that investment of energy. They're going to start to get that energy back. So if you go and your plant is in that kind of dormancy period, and you go ahead and you rip up the roots, or you transplant it, you start chopping away, and that plant is in that kind of state, it's not in a growing season type of state, what ends up happening is that the plant just isn't in a place where it wants to expend that energy. So it can die. It can make your plant go into shock much more readily as well. The roots, so again, either your props won't be doing very well, they won't be pushing out roots. Now, you could simulate those conditions. So if you take those cuttings and then put them into these types of conditions where the humidity and it's warm, maybe you have a heating pad. So there are heating pads for seedlings, and these work great for propagations as well. So there are heating pads for plants, so they don't get really, really hot. So it's safe for them. It won't burn them. But you put them under your trays, or if you maybe have a propagation box, so you put it like off to the side, or some people stick it on the side, so that's kind of like ambient heating. And if you mimic that, then usually they're fine. But yeah, if you just try to propagate when it's still super cold, the humidity is like gone. We have been struggling here to keep the humidity up. So it's been fluctuating a lot. And so we've been trying to run the humidifiers overnight. One of our humidifiers here, it just wasn't, I guess the tank was just too low when we went to sleep. So I came out and I got ready for class, and I'm like looking over it, and it's in the 30s. The humidity is in the 30s. It's 74 degrees Fahrenheit here, so it's very comfortable, but it's only 31% humidity right now. So we need to I need to fill up the humidity, the humidifier tanks, and start getting them running, because I need to bring that up at least to 50%, because if not, the plants are not happy. You start to see crisping. Yeah, the plants are just not going to be happy. So I need to do that. One quick way of doing it too, now we have a smaller apartment, and so not only with our humidifiers, but if I take a big pot of water and put it on the stove, that remedies it very quickly. So in under an hour, I can probably get up to about 60% humidity. I just take a big soup pot and I fill it up with water and I boil it, and that's all I have to do. A lot of our humidity loving plants are in the kitchen, so they are happy. And then there's no door to our kitchen, so it just comes into the living room. And then they're really happy. So so we will have to do that to get them, to bring them back to their happy place, to a humidity that they'll enjoy. Because when they're not, they are going to start to crisp. So that's what we have to deal with. We have quite a few plants that we have to water before we leave. So it's gonna be a busy week, preparing everything. But hopefully everybody will be okay. We'll see how everything goes. I'm hoping have a lot of watering to do, and I have to write that manual. And then we bought a bunch of little like the little labels for the pots, but they're just color coded. And so I'm going to add a bunch of blues to all the plants that have to be watered at least on a weekly basis. And then a green for plants they're going to have to be watered on a bi-weekly basis every 2 weeks. And that's really it, because the plants that usually get watered every 3 to 4 weeks, they'll be fine if I water them before I leave, and then they'll be fine by the time I come back. But the plants that need to be watered once a week and need to be watered every 2 weeks, they will need some attention. So I want to make it easier, and so I'm going to color code them. And hopefully that works. Yes. Yes, with going on vacation with plants, it's always very difficult. I can give you guys a couple tips. For one, so understanding how long are you going, and keeping in mind that there are some folks that will. I had a client who shut her curtains when she was leaving, because, of course, she just thought, well, I'm leaving. I don't want folks to see that the apartment is unoccupied. So I'm going to shut my curtains. And she thought that would be fine with her plants. But it just was too dark. So her plants did not like that. She came home to very sad looking plants. And so keep that in mind. So you're not going to be there to take those curtains out. So having that no light the plants go from light to absolutely no light very quickly. This can be a very big issue. And if you're gone long enough, this can eventually kill your plant. This can also cause root rot. So if your plants are freshly watered because you're leaving, and so you thought, okay, I'm going to water my plants, but then you obstructed the light. Without the light, the plants can't effectively use that water. So they're just sitting in mud in the dark. And so they'll end up dying. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Then who do you leave if you're leaving for an extended period of time? There are plant sitters, kind of like house sitters. There are house sitters that also have experience with plants that could help. There are just plant specific sitters that you can hire, and they can come and check on your plants. And just how people have dog sitters and cat sitters, there are plant sitters, they do exist. Yeah, or if you have friends, there are also some places, some nurseries, some plant shops, and you can research this in your area, that offer a kind of a daycare, a planty daycare, where if you were going to be going away for an extended period of time, you could leave your plant in their care. This is actually a thing. And so there are some places that offer this, and they will, you pay a fee, and they will take care of your plant in their greenhouse, for you. And yeah, and so you don't have to worry about your plant. So that's one option. And yeah, and otherwise, definitely leave very detailed instructions. Try to group like plants together. So if you do have someone who is taking care of your plants, and maybe out of your entire collection, there's only 10, let's say, that really, really need some extra attention when you're gone, putting them together is very helpful, because then it's just, there you go. Those are the plants they're going to need attention. And, you can leave all the other plants by themselves. So that's really great. Or what we're doing, we're color coding it. So we're going to try to do that. And there's also irrigation systems. So Brian was a little overzealous, and he was hoping to have that done before we left, but there's just no way. But what Brian wants to do is set up irrigation systems in a lot of our plant areas, which is basically having like tubes with water connected to pumps on timers. And so basically it would water the plants automatically, and it would all be computerized. So we wouldn't have to even check on the plant. But then that's my problem, is that I like to check on the plant before I water it. So what if it's been a little chillier and the plants are not as dry as I'd like them to be, and then it's set automatic, and then they get watered again. So that's a con for me, but yeah, I can see why it would be great if people were on vacation, but we did not have time to get that ready. But if this is something that we are indeed going to do, because I think Brian is very dead set on it, then I'll make sure to document the journey, and then maybe have him come and talk about how he set that up, because that's something he really wants to do. But yeah. Holly is asking, there are roots coming out from the bottom of the speckled plant. Oh, the tiny dancer. Should I get it into a larger pot this spring? Possibly. So yes, roots escaping are a good sign that your plant might need to be repotted, but I would also just check the plant itself when you pull it out, if it is actually root bound, because sometimes they will just get extra roots that find their way through the drainage hole. And especially if they were at wherever they were in the nursery, they were on a tray with water. Sometimes they send out roots like that. So I would make sure it is root bound. So if you pull it out, you would see kind of the roots circling the pot. And so then, and with no more room. Alocasias, the tiny dancer, it might not need to be repotted. Because they tend to be, they can be in one pot for a while before they're slower growers, but I've seen larger tiny dancers and they're beautiful. And they can get larger, it's definitely, but it does take a while. I would just, again, keep an eye on that, on the base of that plant. So like you were saying, you were kind of spraying it with alcohol and keeping an eye on it. So just continue kind of watching it, just so that it doesn't develop into potential rot or something for the plant. But yeah, but if you did want to repot, again, if it is root bound, let's say, so don't go only 1 to 2 inches wider than it is currently. Don't put it in a really large pot. Definitely don't put it into a terracotta. I would put it just in a slightly larger nursery pot if you do need to repot it. Because when they're still that small, they do prefer a little bit more moisture, and the nursery pot will help retain a little bit more of that moisture that it wants. If you move it into terracotta, it'll have the opposite effect. It'll dry out way too quickly. So you're actually going to find yourself watering it much more often. And the problem is that if you can't keep up with that, then yeah, it can, dry out. So then you have the opposite end of the problem. Oh, great. Yes. And my tiny dancer grew very quickly after I had taken off some stems. That's great. Yes. So when you do clip them, it will encourage more of that bushier growth. So definitely during the growing season. Yeah, tiny dancers are really cool. I'm going to see if maybe I can show. I went to Il Exotics and they had huge ones. They were almost my height. So they were, whoops, dancer, alocasia. Yeah, it's such an interesting shaped plant. Here we go. It is such an odd plant. This one's great. So there's at least 2 plants here. So in this one here, there's at least 2 plants. But just how you can see, it kind of splays out from the base there. And yeah, the leaves are really, really small, but really interesting shaped. Tiny dancers are just very interesting alocasias. Let me see if there is. Yeah, I'm trying to see one that really shows when they're large, but no, these are all pretty medium sized, small. Yeah, but it's a very interesting shape. So if you do come across a tiny dancer and you like alocasias, that might be a good one to grab if you have the chance. I've only seen them in stores a handful of times. It's not a plant that I've seen here, at least in New York City. I personally haven't come across it very often. I've probably seen it in 3 stores, maybe in in recent years. So it's not fairly common, at least in the stores. I think it's readily available like for order. oh, here, yeah, these were the ones, they were really shaped like this. The ones that were at Il Exotics. And they were huge. They were just huge. And it was just this like really long base and a bunch of leaves. Like this overall shape, really, really beautiful. But yeah, please ask away if you have any other questions, anyone. Let's see what. Trying to see if I can show you any plants in the meantime. Oh, so I have this fern leaf cactus that I got a couple weeks ago. Here we go. So here it is, and huge plant. And I have it here. It's getting this light from the grow lights, so it's been very happy. But the only thing is that it's in a place where we could easily kind of bump it. So I have to figure out where I can move it while we're away, because we already had a casualty. So a piece snapped off. However, I put it on my bookshelf to callus, and look at that. It is already producing a root. So I'm going to put this in some substrate and see how it does if it roots while we're away. So this is the fern cactus. It's not perfect. There were some little dings because it fell, but we didn't realize until we saw it. It was already on the floor. We don't know how long it was if it was overnight or what, but it did get some bruising. But other than that, I mean, the leaf looks great and it's starting to produce a root. So we're gonna try this. So I'm gonna root this guy up, and yeah, and then we'll see how that works. They're just absolutely beautiful. They're very thin, very, very thin. But I love the shape. It's such an odd shape. Oh, you're also trying. Linda says, I have one of those. I'm now trying to propagate a casualty. Yes. It's an unfortunate thing, right? Especially with hanging plants, right? It's especially things like strings of things. So strings of pearls, like ruby necklaces, string of dolphins. We have like string of hearts. If you just bump them, even when you're just watering them, you bump them the wrong way, a whole strand gets loose. But then, yeah, you can go ahead and propagate. So that is being that's going to be propagated. We're going to pot that up before we leave. But then I wanted to also show you. Let me see if I can hold this, or do I need to separate? There we go. So I have it in a pot up there. So I wanted to, so it's an insert. So what you can do with these is these are great because then I can just water it like this. I just plop it into a container. But then you can just take the pot and put it like this. So this is a variegated string of hearts, but when I bought it at the shop, there is some Peperomia prostrata in it. So you see these, this is a string of turtles. So these are string of hearts. This is Serrapigia. And then this is a Peperomia prostrata. These little ones right here. So it looks like, oh, there's more too. There's over here. But yeah, so these are really adorable. But it looks like at some point during transit, some string of hearts fell into the pot and they rooted and they just started growing. And so this is a shop, NYC Succulents, that I went to, and it was a happy accident. And I was like, hey, can I take this? Can I buy this one? And he's like, sure. It came like that. So sometimes those accidents, right? This is an example of a happy accident where it obviously just happened, and now I have I have both growing in here. So yeah, it's super cool. And you can combine different species that have similar care needs. I've seen some beautiful pots that had different types of pothos in them, so the different types of epiprenums. So they had like there was a more recent one was golden pothos with I had golden pothos, I had like pearls and jade, the global green, and like a marble queen. I had like four varieties. Absolutely gorgeous. So if you have plants that are in the same family, that are viners, right, that cascade down, and they basically have the identical care requirements, feel free to experiment. Try to pot them up together and see what happens, or take propagations and put them together, because then you can get some really interesting pots with some different species in them. It's super cool. Synth is asking, is it a true cactus or a fern? Good question. So it is a true cactus. So it's an epiphytic cactus. So it's an example of a cactus that does grow in trees. So it doesn't technically need like regular soil substrate. It does prefer kind of like nooks and crannies in the tree where like dead leaves and things like that would kind of fall and break down. They do appreciate a little bit more moisture when they're propagating versus when they're established. So I will put it into a potting mix that is well draining, but I am going to put a little bit of like cocoa coir in there, and like a teensy little bit of peat that I have, teensy little bit, just so that it gets a little extra moisture. But once they're large and they're rooted, they would prefer, watering like every 3 to 4 weeks. They want to really dry out. They don't want to be consistently, but they are not an actual fern. The reason they're called ferns because of the leaves. So it's very similar shape to a fern, hence that name. But they also have other common names. Oops, my Siri thinks I'm talking to it. Sorry. But they do have other names. Shark tooth and shark fin are very common, are common names for this plant as well. So you can kind of see that shark fin cactus or shark tooth cactus, as well as a fern cactus. Yes. Here we go. Holly. If my tiny dancer has mold or something, how should I treat it to heal it? Can it be repropagated? Great question. So if your plant has mold or some type of pathogen, like a bacterial mold, or a bacterial rot or a fungal mold. So let's say this guy were to start to rot here at the base. So unfortunately, in this case, right, there are no other nodes. So with the matophyllums, there really isn't, there are no extra nodes here for it to be propagated. So if something were to affect the base, if this section is damaged, that's it. There is no more, there's nothing I would be able to do. I wouldn't be able to save the plant. Now with alocasias, they have what is called a corm, kind of looks like a little bulb. Some alocasias. So with alocasias, if the base is damaged, is infected, and then dies off, that is going to affect their roots. So that's going to kill the rest of the plant. And then I don't think with tiny dancers, I don't think. So when with alocasias, if you are able to propagate, if you are able to cut very close to the root or do like a root division, but I don't think the leaf, if you were to try to cut that leaf, if it would propagate successfully. I don't think so. So in terms of trying to heal it, so that can be difficult. So if it's a mold, I would say then potentially treating it, so you can take some hydrogen peroxide on a Q-tip and try to kind of slightly dab it. Now, and dilute it in water. So if you have like a little container, what you can do is put about a quarter cap of hydrogen peroxide, and then about 3 caps of water themselves, just like water itself, to really dilute it, and then use a Q-tip, dunk it in there and apply if you think it might be mold. Now this will kill the living tissue on that side, so you wouldn't expect any growth from that side. But with bacteria, that's a little bit more difficult. There's really not much you can do. Just keep it away from your other plants, because things like fungal rots and bacterial rot, it can transfer to other plants through touch. Also the spores, if it is mold, it can go to other plants. So just keep an eye on it and see if it's spreading. If what you're seeing is the kind of base of the alocasias, they have like these I don't think they're technically caterpillars like with philodendrons, but it's kind of that similar texture. It's like these modified bracts or leaves that kind of protect the base, and they kind of peel away like an onion, like the and so if it's just that, sometimes those little pieces will rot away and you can just take them out without an issue. But if it's on the stem itself, then that's where it gets worrisome. So I would just say keep an eye on it. Make sure that there is a lot of air circulation, that it's in a nice amount of sunlight, even turning the plant where the brown area towards the sun, just to make sure it's not like in the dark area. Yeah, you can keep trying with the alcohol, or if you think it might be mold, then the hydrogen peroxide might be helpful. But it has to be diluted because it's very, very corrosive. So you don't want to put it straight on the plant. But yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think it should be less than 70 degrees where it's located. So especially if it's mold, if you have a plant that has mold or is in active root rot, you do not want to keep it cool. So you do not want to have it in a cold area, a drafty area. This only encourages the mold to grow and to that's like the perfect environment. So mold likes damp, stagnant air, right? There's no air circulation. So if your windows are closed, you don't have a fan on, like it's just stagnant, and cool and dark. So those are, so yeah, if it's not warm already, then yeah, keeping it warm will definitely help. Yeah. if it is like a fungal mold. Now, with bacteria, sometimes it doesn't matter. With bacteria, it really, there's not much you can't really do if it's bacterial. Also, if it's viral as well. If it's viral, that's it. With bacterial, yeah, there's really not much that can be done. With fungal, I mean, those are like the home remedies, right? With the hydrogen peroxide. But if you think it's fungal, what you could do is either get like a copper-based fungicide or a sulfur-based fungicide, and you can get these as powders or sprays that are meant for plants, and then you can actually put them on your plants. But sometimes they can burn your plants and slightly harm your plants. I think that's why it's better with the powdery ones, to use the powdered ones. Another good home remedy for fungal is actually baking soda. So taking baking soda and using it similarly to diatomaceous earth and kind of painting your leaf, or the side of the plant with baking soda. So that helps with the pH, and it can kill some, basically makes it it's like no longer hospitable to the fungus. And so yeah, so it can basically die off. It can't continue. Those are a couple options. But it's really difficult to diagnose whether the issue is like fungal or bacterial. It's usually once it has kind of continue. So usually like the bacterial will smell really, really bad as it's rotting. The fungal, usually there's kind of like some fuzz, or it's like a soft spot in the middle that kind of radiates outward. That can usually be a fungal spot. But yeah. Synth, what are some good mail order seed companies, and can Clevia be grown from seed, and can Clevia be a houseplant? So yes, I have seen Clevia as a houseplant. I don't know if it can be grown from seed. But there are some good mail order companies. Let me hold on one second. Oh, Terry says that I recommended baking soda, and that they were able to save 3 plants. Yay! That's great. So baking soda is another remedy that might be helpful. Let me see here. One second. I'm gonna try to see if I can. If I can find. I had a list of seed companies. One second. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna pop those in the chat. Let me see. you're very welcome. I'm just trying to see if I can put that. There we go. I'm trying to put that on a slide real quick. But yes, so these are some recommended seed suppliers. So if you're looking specifically for things like trees, junk seed is really good. Select seed is great with vines. If you're looking more for like herbs to grow at home, botanical interest, it's great. But yeah, Rare Exotic Seeds has a great catalog. So if that is of interest. Another option too, so the nonprofit that I work for, Herbalists Without Borders, they actually have a seed grant. So for folks that are trying to grow more herbs in their garden, or if they have a community project like a community garden, or you want to work with underserved individuals, so you are specifically growing food crops, right, to give away, or herbs to give away to community members, things like that. When you're a member of Herbalists Without Borders, you can actually apply to their seed grants. And so that's an option I like to share with folks, because we get seeds in from all over the country. Unfortunately, it has to be within the United States, because we can't ship the seeds outside due to restrictions with customs and things like that. So, but we get a lot of donations, and we recently, over the summer, we got huge donation of seeds for all types. There was not only like vegetables, but also so many types of herbs, and then a bunch of pollinator plants as well. So so many plants that are going to be great for pollinators come spring. And so the seed grants are going to be opening I think in like February or March, something like that. So if that's of interest, then you'd be, that's an option. So you only pay shipping, and you get a bunch of seeds, and when you fill out the application, you put basically what type of plants you're looking for, and where you live, so we can figure out the zone. And then the donation coordinator kind of figures out what plants might survive in your area, and then specifically chooses a combination to send you. So of like the plants that you requested, and plants that they know will actually be successful in your zone. So yeah, so that's an option. See here, but you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. I hope that's helpful. But thank you so much for tuning in on this Monday morning. It is so dark and chilly here. We're both so tired. We're so tired trying to prepare everything before we leave. So, but thank you so much. And definitely, yeah, I hope I will see you at the next session. So next Monday, if you tuned in late, we are taking our flight on Saturday, but then we're staying somewhere Saturday night and Sunday, and then Monday is the day that we're actually going to be traveling out to the coast. And so it's going to be a 6-hour drive. So I'm going to be in a car. So unfortunately, it's going to be along areas that there is just no Wi-Fi. So I won't be able to have my session next week. But I will see if I can post something pre-recorded or a replay of something. So I'll kind of check what I have, and or maybe I'll see if I have a couple things pre-recorded, and and then I can send you options to watch. But next Monday, it just looks like we were supposed to do the traveling part on Sunday, but then things just got moved around with the rental and everything. So So Monday, unfortunately, is the day. So I really hoped I wouldn't have to cancel. But this is the cards that have been dealt. So, but I will get footage and things like that. Yeah, and so I'll try to have something there for you to get on Monday morning. Something I will try. And yeah, but I should be able to do the next 2 sessions without issue. Fingers crossed. It shouldn't, those Mondays, I should be at locations that have Wi-Fi, so there shouldn't be an issue. If there is, I will definitely let you know. But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, I am very much gonna look forward to spending time with my mom. So we'll see. We'll see. But thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week. Please stay safe. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, everyone. Bye for now.